You guys hear me now? Okay, I think it's going there. I don't know why the OBS likes to restart the microphone here. It seems like every time I restart OBS, it kicks this microphone off. You guys hear me now? Still muted. Here we go. Can you hear me now? That should be working now. Good? Lost me again. Can you guys hear me now or no? Nope. What is going on with this thing here? Yes, you can hear me. Okay. Good. Okay, yes, awesome. Okay, finally, yeah, good thing we didn't get too far into the video here before I figured that out. I don't know why OBS likes to restart this microphone. Every time I seem to close the program down, it kicks off the microphone. But anyway, what I was talking about there when I started it up was that we have this signal still here for the end of the month here, the GFS ensemble mean, Canadian ensemble mean, European ensemble mean. So pretty good signals you can see there. The only problem is that it's so far out there that it kind of makes you take pause here, but a pretty good signal coming up there. And we back up out here, you can see the Canadian Pacific North American oscillation. You can see that going in negative territory as well. So we have that. You have the European ensemble here for the Pacific North American oscillation going in negative territory. The GFS, the 18Z run also has it. So pretty good signal here. It's always a little tricky when it's that far out. It gives you pause and cause for concern. Oh, so it was, okay, so I was okay, and then okay, I got you. Don't touch anything. Yeah, it looks like it's working on my end now. I'm reading the chat here for a minute and making sure everything's okay. Is there still an echo, you guys, or is it coming in okay? I saw Garrett said there was an echo, but... Anyway, let's talk about short term too as well. Check out all this cold air back here. Strong frontal system coming in tonight. Actually, way later tonight. This is mainly a tomorrow morning feature here, but this is a pretty strong frontal system there. Ryan says it's good on the phone. The super front. Yeah, you guys probably saw Cliff Mass's blog there. It is a pretty strong frontal system there coming through here. Check this out. So this is composite reflectivity. This is off the 0Z HER, the 3 kilometer, the high resolution rapid refresh model. Check it out. You can see the frontal system out here. Look at some of these segments in this line. It's going to really come across Vancouver Island, coast of Washington, coastal Oregon with quite a vengeance here. And it's going to impact really the entire Puget Sound Metro, Southwest BC as well, Willamette Valley. And look at the strength of this frontal system as it moves down through Southwest Oregon into Northern California. It's even got a little bit of punch by the time it goes through San Francisco as well. But you'll notice that it is pretty progressive here, and it's just kind of moving pretty quickly here, but it's going to have some pretty vigorous rainfall amounts with it. Some pretty good winds with it as well. But there's some pretty good segments in there. We can zoom in a little bit more here on the Washington coast and the Oregon coast also. There's that feature moving through tonight. You guys might notice it's raining out there, Portland North. Look at some of these segments in here that are really picking them up quite well on the HER. it was tempting to go out to the coastline and drop some probes and try to pick up some of the features of these segments here. Yeah, narrow cold front rain band. Yeah, you can clearly see that here. You can see the cold front segments, these embedded segments. There's even a potential for a lightning strike or two with this, especially along the coastline here as well. So put that into motion and look at the strength of this bugger as it goes down south through Oregon here. I mean, this is really going to power through the region down there. You can guess up over 50 miles per hour, really, anywhere along the Oregon coast with this. It's going to be a quick hitter, too. Winds are going to come out of nowhere, and they're going to die pretty quick behind the front anyway. But it's going to be one of those mornings tomorrow where you're just kind of sitting at home or you're at work, and all of a sudden you see that wind just blast the window, and the rain's just giving you a free window wash across your house or your place of work. I mean, it'll get windy with the frontal passage as it goes through tomorrow. I didn't really look too much here. Let's look at that here really quick. Let's go on into, I see people talking about the wind a little bit here. Let's go into wind gust here. And I mean, yeah, I thought I saw somebody in the chat earlier. It's my Twitter chat there talking about some gusts up on Whidbey Island up towards 40. Yeah, so it is a little bit breezy up there. San Juan's, this is going on tonight. But you'll clearly see the frontal system here. I mean, look at this thing. It's got gusts towards 50 miles per hour in it right there. And you can see it quickly end behind the front. But some gusts all the way down from Vancouver Island all the way down to Northern California coastline as that frontal system rips through there. So it should be a fun frontal system passing through early tomorrow morning across the coastal area, and then across the Willamette Valley and the Puget Sound in the morning. Yeah, we need a Doppler radar on the Oregon coast. Washington Weather Chasers is here. That would be very nice to have that. I mean, we had to fight quite a while to get one on the Washington coast too. There are more people on the Washington coast, and the Oregon coast is a bit more rugged as you go down there, but it would be nice to have it for sure. Yeah, if you're on the Oregon coast, you're kind of left trying to deal with the scraps of the Portland Doppler and the Langley coastal radar there in Washington. The beams really don't make it that well once you go south. You can see a bit down the Oregon coast with the Langley radar, but you're really not seeing it at lower levels here. It's hard to pick up some of the heavier amounts of precipitation. Yeah, I mean, we get some mean storms off the coastline here, and it would be nice to have one somewhere right in the central coastline there at Oregon for sure. Yeah, you guys still have time to get out there to the coastline. You can catch these really powerful segments moving on shore, but really it's going to power through the Puget Sound and Willamette Valley too as well. You want to see what's powering that front. Check this out. This is it. 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. Check out that lobe of cold air moving in there. And I'm not sure what's going on with the models here. I'm get some of the NAMO's glitching too, and now it looks like the UW GFS is kind of skipping ahead here. But you can clearly see kind of like this purple fist just reaching down this polar lobe as it casts that frontal system across the area there, just kind of smacking us here in the Pacific Northwest. This is at 10,000 feet here, and you can clearly see that colder air. And again, it's doing that. It's going from 19. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here with the models. The NAM was having some issues earlier too. And catch up on the chat here for a minute. It's just going to be a brief period of winds and some heavy rain. Just a typical frontal passage, though. It's just going to be fun to watch. It's nothing too crazy. I mean, it shouldn't cause any huge problems for anybody unless it, brings down some trees or something like that. But it should be brief, gusty winds with it. Strongest along the coastline and the higher terrain. Yeah, the weatherman here. I'm going to make the weatherman a moderator also. Yeah, we got 30,000 subscribers, you guys. I mean, the word is getting out about the channel. It helps with the California traffic too, is adding some subscribers, and it helps the YouTube algorithm get the reach out across Washington, Oregon as well. British Columbia, Idaho, Montana. The more people that see it, the more people that comment and click like and turn on their notifications, it really helps reach people along the West Coast here. Of course, I am from Pacific Northwest, so my number one area of interest is, Oregon, Washington, BC, up here. NAM and WRF are both GFS initiated. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even want to go back in there. The HER was having some issues too. I know the HER is actually driven by it uses data from the GFS also, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'd like to see some snow as well. I mean, the signal's there, but it's just so far out there that it's kind of like, man, we're going to have to play this waiting game, and there's a lot of time for this to change. So you're just kind of like sitting and waiting. But this is the European as of this morning. This is the Canadian. There's the GFS. Pretty good signal here across Western North America here with that ridging out here, allowing that north flow down the West Coast here. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. I mean, again, this is going to kind of be cooler than normal and really probably not as much as precipitation as normal here across a lot of the area here. We're not going to be getting that southwest flow. That atmospheric river activity is not going to be happening with this kind of a setup here. So if this ends up verifying, we are going to remain below average precipitation coming up here. And let's see, I'll skip ahead a little bit here. See the 6 to 10 day, they updated this today, and you can see the actual below normal percentages came up across Western Washington today as well. 8 to 14 day, they actually cut it back a little bit here, just including, Western Washington, a little bit of Northwest Oregon. Yeah, we got about 15,000 subscribers in the last month. Pretty nice. Opinions on February 1st ridge pushing that front out. Yeah, I mean, I can't even begin to speculate on what kind of systems are going to move down with this. Typically, you get the north flow, and if you get the trajectory over water, then you can spin up a decent system here, and you can cause some lowland snow with a good system. But if it comes in a little bit too sharply or out of the north or a little bit northeasterly, then, of course, you can get dry Arctic air intrusions into the area, or sometimes, they end up coming out of the Gulf of Alaska a bit too much, and you get cyclogenesis, which means you get the development of the low pressure off the ocean here, and you end up getting in a bit of a warmer flow towards the lower elevations here. Good for mountain snow, though. Yeah, not foggy yet, but if we back up here, some of this ridging, though, coming out in the 200-hour period is kind of interesting looking, too. You could get a bit of some stagnant conditions here. So you notice that ridge kind of hang out. There's still that trough kind of digging down there. Then we go ridge rebuild. So you could get some foggy conditions in there. And then we start to stir the air up at least here with this kind of troughing there. But, yeah, there is a couple ridges we have to go through first to get there. Yeah, we could look out at that. Let's do that. In fact, let's go to GFS. And we're going to go to continental North America. Oh, I can't get there from there, can I? I'm going to have to go to national, continental US. Let's go out a little bit here. Nope, we don't want to do that. Let's go to go a little bit further, and we'll find one of those ridges out here. Oh, actually, this is the new GFS running. Let's back up to the 18Z here, and we'll go out to the extended a bit here. The GFS isn't too bad with the ridging out here. The flow doesn't get too stagnant looking there in any of the GFSs. It's going to be hard to tell this here. I don't suppose the CFS, I can't remember if the CFS allows for soundings or not. Yeah, no, it does not. No sounding data. So I guess we'll have to wait on that. But yeah, there's always the risk for inversions when you get those ridges setting up. Yeah, when I started off here, sometimes I relaunch OBS here and it does not recognize the microphone. I have to go back in and select it again. I'm not sure why it does that, but I'll remember to check that next time. So what's going on? Let's go back over things again here. So what is it, 7:55? This is what we're dealing with now. This weak frontal system's kind of coming through now. It's bringing some rain. It was rainy at my house here, Western Washington. Stronger front is back here. A lot of cold air behind this system. Pretty narrow, strong frontal band moving through very late tonight into tomorrow morning across the coast and the Puget Sound, Willamette Valley here. And you can see that here. This is about midnight tonight right there. So it's going to be impacting Vancouver Island. It's right off the Washington-Oregon coast. And you'll see some of these powerful segments embedded in this frontal system there. So some very heavy rain. There's even a chance for an isolated lightning strike somewhere up and down this frontal system as well. And you can really see these these little embedded segments here. Some nice window washers for the homes here along the coastline, then over the Puget Sound down through the Willamette Valley. And this thing should be packing a pretty good punch when it moves down towards Brookings, Oregon here. Probably some gusts towards 50 miles per hour along the southern Oregon coast. But really anywhere from Vancouver Island, I wouldn't be surprised to see 50 mile per hour gusts in this frontal system here. Probably lesser, maybe some lower mid 30s here for the Willamette Valley, Puget Sound up towards southwest BC. You can see this has a punch all the way down through San Francisco here, but it's fairly progressive. You guys see how fast he gets out of here. But tomorrow afternoon as well, you'll see some pretty unstable air back here, some pretty good shower activity. You could get another isolated lightning strike there, maybe even a little bit of small hail with some of that. A little bit of gusty winds, nothing too crazy though behind the frontal system tomorrow. And another shot of snowfall for the Sierra Nevada all the way up the Cascades into BC as well. Try to catch up here on some of the chat. Looks intense. Jonas Miller is back. Who is Jonas Miller? That's the question. Well, progressive means, when I say progressive, I'm just saying that it's not really getting hung up over one area for long. These are 1 hour increments. So as I go forward, for example, let's look at the Southwest Oregon coast here. So it's going to hang out 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. Then that front is out of there. So you have about 4 hours to go through. So it's not like it's going to hang up too long in any one given spot. That frontal system is moving fast, meaning it's progressive. And sometimes, when we get this atmospheric rivers through California, Washington, all the way up through BC there, it can hang out over given areas and really enhance flooding and rainfall amounts in certain areas. But this frontal system is just marching from northwest to southeast pretty rapidly, even though it is pretty strong. It's a fast storm, yes. So what about the high tides in combination with those high winds? Well, I think the king tides are what's starting up here towards January 19th or so. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. The king tides are usually an issue when you've got a bigger, it's usually a more widespread storm. Here, let's look at this really quick here. I'll show you. Let's back out a bit. So this is this morning's European here. You can kind of see there is some enhanced wave activity behind the frontal system there. And a bigger system moves up north, the Haida Gwaii there, southeast Alaska. But it's not going to be too bad. I mean, the king tides are starting here on the 20th here. And you see we're not dealing with, that's not bad wave activity there. So it's probably going to cause some nuisance problems. And then maybe as we go on in through Sunday, some of these waves could coincide with some high tides. Some of those king tides here as we go through this weekend coming up. King tides. I thought the king tides were coming up here shortly. Actually, let's Google that together here. Oh, what am I doing there? Oh, no, was that it? Will that show the king tides there? So it looks like the king tides. You can see Westport, January 21, 22, 23. La Push, same thing there. Seattle, 23, 24, 25. So that is coming up here this weekend. Bellingham, Dungeness, Olympia, Waco. These storms are not due to El Nino conditions right now. I mean, the pattern coming up here as we go towards the end of the month is actually pretty typical La Nina stuff. Group Google, that's correct. There are, yes, mountain snow tomorrow is definite possibility here. Let's actually look at that too. So this is the first look. This is the European 18Z, the most recent. So here we go. The frontal system moving through. You can see this start to pile up across the Cascades here. Siskiyous down through the Sierra Nevada. So yeah, you're going to get some areas of 6+. Looks like Stevens is probably going to get 8+ with this frontal system through tomorrow into Thursday morning there. So yeah, there's definitely going to be some snowfall occurring here coming up. This is day 1 impacts here. Actually, day 2. Let's see, day 3. Okay, so it's calling 1 through 3. Some minor impacts for Snoqualmie. Stevens Pass there. Sierra Nevada got upgraded a little bit here as well. They're going to pick up some additional snow, but nothing like what they were getting. I mean, there's just some crazy totals coming down through California the last few weeks. This is for Washington State here. So here we go. You can see as we go on into, this is about 10 p.m. tomorrow. And snow's going to pile up pretty good there in Snoqualmie Pass. I mean, you could get 6, 8, 9 inches of snow there, as you can see. Stevens Pass is somewhere up here. Pretty similar there. So yeah, tomorrow on in through Thursday morning, we're going to build up some snow across the higher terrain. Looks like Wenatchee might even get in on that action as well there. Same thing for Oregon here. Put that into motion. And if you're lucky, you'll get a little skiff along some of the coastal range there. Oh, kicked me off there. Cascades a little bit better here. Not too much though, but it's something. You always take what you can get as far as the snowfall is concerned. I got Baker City getting in the action too, Ontario out there. Looks like Boise might get some snowfall as well. I think I had that in the first one. The timing of that for Boise is on in through Thursday morning there, it looks like, about just after midnight Wednesday night into Thursday morning for Boise. Yeah, it's snowing crazy amounts across the Sierras now. It's some wild conditions, the high wind gusts, just intense amounts of snowfall. I mean, can you imagine living up there? Yeah, it's a good thing we're not going to have, like Henrik mentioned, when you do have that low pressure, it really can cause some big issues with the king tides here. So if we look here, we'll go out to surface pressure here and we'll do anomaly and we'll go back. And there goes our frontal system here with this low pressure system moving up into BC. There goes the front here. But as we go into this weekend, you'll notice the pressure is just not that low. So that's a good thing as far as flooding concerned. Even though wave activity won't be too calm, you can see we've got relatively high pressure across the area here, coming up 20, 21, 22. You know, so we're not going to be doing too bad as far as low pressure and the king tide combined. Planning on going up to Stevens Pass. Yeah, you should get some new snow, especially on Wednesday. It'll probably be quite a nice snowfall up there. Snoqualmie Pass as well. Need to pour concrete in Lincoln City on Friday. I mean, Friday doesn't look too bad. Check it out. Looks like some high pressure around. We might get a little break here coming up. But if you guys are just joining now, I'll go over that one more time here. Here's the GFS ensemble mean at the end of the month into early February here. There goes our classic ridging and troughing position there. There's the Canadian ensemble, same thing. European, go way out in the forecast and you see that there. Pacific North American oscillation forecast call for the same thing as well. So it looks like the change is coming, but it's so far out there that it kind of gives you pause. There is another system coming through on Saturday as well. That's going to be the further north you are, the more impacts that is going to have. So you can kind of see it there. If you look closely here, you notice I have the ridge and the ridge kind of flattens out and you get this, just a very weak system moving through here. Let's actually go ahead and take a look at what it looks like here on the 3-hour precip amounts. And we're out to hour 90 there. Let's go out to the control, goes out 144 hours. And now let's back this up. Oh, this is actually... Yeah, the European's kind of messed up too. I don't know why this is not run yet, but it has not. Let's go ahead and just look at the GFS then, the good old-fashioned GFS. There's that first frontal system there. And here goes that system that comes through this weekend. This one looked a little bit more impressive in some earlier runs here. It's still not too bad. But you can see as you go on in through Saturday morning, that starts to move in, especially across western Washington and BC there. And then after that one, we might get some ridging for a while here. You can see that next system kind of falling apart there. And not much precipitation off into the extended after that system coming here this weekend. I mean, we might get glanced by some ridge riders over the top of the ridge here back across Pacific Northwest. But after that, we'll be looking to see how that pattern change looks to be unfolding here as we get towards the end of the pattern, the end of the forecast. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Weather Bell. Garrett mentioned that as well. Yeah, there's numerous different issues with some of the runs here today I've been looking at, and it's kind of quite wild. Blue is cold. So as far as this kind of means, yeah, like what somebody there was saying a minute ago. So this is just basically troughing, and you're just kind of looking at general ridge and trough position here. But yeah, this would be trough and this would be ridge. Yeah, Washington Weather Chaser has winter weather advisories. Yeah, I don't know. So they haven't issued anything yet, really? I mean... Yeah, still nothing. I mean, that front's coming, and it's going to drop some precip. I don't know. I don't like to badmouth the National Weather Service. They do a really good job. It's just, I don't know. They seem to just wait on forecasts a lot of times. I'd probably have a winter weather advisory already up for the Cascades of Washington at least. I mean, looked like lesser amounts maybe north, but I don't know. They've already got some down south through California. Is that the same? Is that because of this next frontal system here? Let's do this. Let's go to NOAA. Let's bounce down here to California. And we're just going to check out here and see what this is for. $10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Wednesday above 2,500 feet. So this is with that frontal system here. Yeah, I mean, I would put one out if I was the National Weather Service for Seattle for sure. They probably do mention it in the forecast discussion. There's all kinds of good stuff here. If you want to look in here and go to the forecast discussion as well, you'll see the National Weather Service forecasters talking about things. Oh, they talked about it right here. So I got current forecast remains below advisory criteria at this time. Those needing to travel across the pass will want to make sure to check latest forecast and travel conditions. I mean, I don't know. It's looking like 6+ inches here on the latest European. So I wouldn't be very judgmental if they were putting out You can see Snoqualmie Pass looking like 9 inches there. So I don't know. I don't know what they're looking at here, but maybe they're looking. Let's look at this a little bit closer. Let's go to the NAM 3KM. We're going to zoom in on Washington here and just kind of, we're nitpicking at the National Weather Service here a little bit, but is the NAM still acting crazy? It is. Look at that. Jumps from hour to 4 to 19. I don't know. Maybe they're putting more stock into the high resolution model there, but that's not much help. But you can see even on the Canadian high resolution model here, I mean, that's some pretty good snowfall across Snoqualmie Pass. I definitely have an advisory out for that. That's going to cause problems right there. I mean, that'll be some, that's going to, it looks like 5 inches there at Snoqualmie Pass, I believe, unless that's Stampede. Yeah, that's probably Snoqualmie in there, but yeah, what is it gusting up there right now across? We can check that out as well. Let's go ahead and look at. Yeah, there's some pretty strong winds going on up here across Whidbey Island, it looks like right now. 37 miles per hour, not bad. Bellingham gusting 33 currently. Friday Harbor 33. Much lesser as you go south. Hood Canal Bridge 35. Not bad. Back up and take a look at surface wind. Peak gusts here according to the HRR. And let's see if the 01Z is doing all right here. Yeah, look at some of these gusts up here across Orcas Island, or San Juan Islands here at Friday Harbor. I mean, there's some gusts showing up in towards upper 50s in there right now. That's through tomorrow morning. That's probably with that frontal system as well. 38 miles per hour for Seattle, too. That's not bad. 45 for Olympia. Pretty gusty down the I-5 corridor. Look at the Oregon coast as well. 50 plus, maybe. Those frontal systems always seem to surprise with the amount of wind they produce, though, even though it is pretty short-lived. Yeah, 6 inches is a big deal up there. I mean, it's going to fall pretty hot and heavy there as we go on in through tomorrow. So we're not trashing on the National Weather Service. They're doing fine. It's just, I think they delay putting out certain things first. Like the ice storm, I kind of had an issue with that. It was pretty apparent that ice storm was going to come and it was going to be pretty hard on Seattle. And it was, and they really put it out kind of late, but nobody died, so. So yeah, so what we're looking at so far here is this next frontal system coming in here. You can see some pretty unstable air behind that as well. It's going to kick up some pretty good mountain snows across the Cascades, BC, all the way down through the Sierras. Strong frontal system is going to go through early tomorrow morning. So you're probably going to wake up to some pretty heavy rain for at least a couple hours there across some of the Willamette Valley, Puget Sound, Southwest BC, coastal areas. It's going to be windy with the front as well. And check this out. This is the 0Z HRR. Look at these individual little segments here. That's when it's raining outside. Then all of a sudden it gets really windy and really rainy. And when one of these segments just kind of bears down on you along the coastline here, it doesn't do as good a job as picking it up across some of the Puget Sound here. But you can see here, like across the Southern Sound up towards Everett there, it's going to get some pretty good segments embedded in this frontal system also. So you get some, the wind will pick up quite rapidly when that moves through, and you can see it really strong when it moves down through the Southwest Oregon coast here. So you can get some wind gusts up towards 50 miles per hour across the island counties there, coastal area. Probably just gust into the mid-30s for Puget Sound, Willamette Valley with the front. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed in them for the ice storm, but that was too bad. The only issue is that you get people up there. You get people traveling. I mean, you got people driving in just ordinary cars and they're trying to get back and forth. You know, students are getting back and forth from Pullman back to the UW or going to Spokane, all kinds of issues. You're traveling across the passes and there's no winter weather advisory out. And all of a sudden you're running into snow. It's snowing and the snow is covering the roadway. It's going to cause problems. And then you get spin outs and then the pass closes. And then people are like, oh, unexpected snowfall hits the Cascades and all these issues are happening. You get all these spin outs and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Whatcom County tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at that as well. Let's go here. So we got 10-meter wind gust. I mean, you're probably, I don't know. You look at the HRRR here, though. Let's go ahead and zoom in on that because that's pretty interesting, too. We'll go on into Seattle. Let's go to cities in Seattle here. I'll find it. There we go. And look at Bellingham. 49-mile-per-hour gust there tomorrow morning. So, yeah, I mean, here, we'll just go gust swath and we'll play this through. Looks like 36 for downtown, 34 for SeaTac, but look at Bellingham up there, you know, gusting towards 43 miles per hour here. This is the 02. Let's check out the 01. That's the cool thing about the HRRR. You can just go back and forth between these model runs and check out to see what's differing. But look at some of these winds across the San Juans here. I mean, you're talking about mid-50s there, even higher just off the south shorelines there. And Seattle at 38, that's nothing to sneeze at as well. That'll wake you up. Bellingham 49 there. Let's check the run before that. Bellingham again, 49 on that one. Been uptrending a little bit for the Seattle Metro here. Then the 02Z run kind of downgraded Bellingham a little bit, but you kind of get the gist there. Those are some pretty good gusts up across the San Juans there. Blowing 50s near Desolation Sound and no wind advisory up there. Yeah, these winds are going to pick up really when that frontal system moves through as well, Debbie Nelson. So you can see it's pretty gusty up there right now, but then watch when the frontal system gets here as you go early morning hours. There's 5 o'clock, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So by 10 a.m., the winds are going to be pretty much wrapping up across the lower elevations of the Puget Sound there. But these gusts coming in the morning are no joke up there. You can start knocking trees down when you get up to those speeds. Yeah, Bellingham, you're probably going to get some gusts into the 40s tomorrow, or early tomorrow morning. Weatherbell just tweeted out they are having technical issues. Very good. I think you can always plant spinach in March. I plant spinach in March, even though that might be why I got my kidney stone because I ate so much spinach. And my lamp just kicked out above me here. I don't know what that happened there, but I'm having all kinds of technical difficulties here tonight. I think my light just died on my studio light above me here, but it doesn't look like it's affecting things too much. Nope, now it turned back on. We got all kinds of glitches here. National Weather Service is not issuing advisories. My microphone doesn't work. My light went out. Weather bell's flaking out on us. If you guys didn't see this earlier as well, this is what's causing this frontal system. You can see this big blue, purple polar lobe there kind of swinging through the northwest there. That's when it's going to cause that strong frontal system there. This is at 10,000 feet here. You can clearly see that lobe of cold air just blasting into us. And you notice how the models are kind of jumping around here a bit. Looks like even the UW runs are having a bit of an issue. West Coast weather, thanks for the generosity there. Make snow happen. I'm going to try my best. I'd love to see another snowfall here at the end of January. That would be awesome. Debbie Nelson, thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Number 1. And if you guys notice, you can see this is integrated vertical transport, integrated water vapor transport. Sorry, vertical. Integrated water vapor transport here. You can see this moving in here, and you'll notice how it doesn't really hang up over any one area. So that's why we do not classify this frontal system as an atmospheric river. There's a little atmospheric river 101 for you. Atmospheric rivers are based on duration. If you did bring this into any one area and trained it over that area, then it would become an atmospheric river. So it's just a definition. An atmospheric river is just a definition. You might consider it an atmospheric river here north of Vancouver Island. Looks like it hangs out there for a bit. But you'll notice that front is progressive and moves quickly down to the south and east. Now, every dollar helps. I mean, any kind of donation helps. Actually takes a bit of time to set these individual forecasts up each time, every day, but it's worth it. I mean, I love being a part of the weather community here on the West Coast. It's really fun. So let's take a look here. Let's go to, so what the Canadian is calling for that snow to pick up as we go on into late morning there. Then we're going to get that cold air behind there. It's probably going to still pile up as we go on to Thursday morning. Yep, you can see it there. Flush Jackson, thank you very much for your generosity. Got a bad feeling about February. It's been at way too nice Southwest Washington / Portland. And yeah, I mean, February, the last few years around here, it's been 3 out of the last 4 years, we've had nice snowfalls in February. I mean, snow lovers can't complain about that, right? The European, what did it call for? This was as of Thursday morning here. I mean, look at the European, kind of has, that's convergent zone activity, probably Stevens Pass going on in through Thursday morning there. I mean, look at some of the snowfall totals pile up as you go on in through Wednesday afternoon. Looks like Snoqualmie right around the borderline of the snow here. If you really want to be hardcore, you hike up Granite Mountain on the evening tomorrow night and you spend the night up there at the fire lookout there and watch the snowfall. So Joy of Landscape says, how much should we read into the National Weather Service 6 to 10 day and 8 to 14 day outlooks? They are just tools. I mean, you can put a little bit of stock into these, but don't make hard and fast plans based on these 6 to 10 day. This is just kind of a tool and like what to expect. It's like any other forecast. You have to take any forecast really with a grain of salt here. But this is kind of a tool saying, hey, we are expecting below average conditions here. And in this case, you know, we're having some ridging here along the west coast of North America here. And we're not going to have the typical storm train moving into the west coast. So they put up these probabilities for below average precipitation because of that. Gradient's becoming slightly offshore ahead of the front. Are you getting any winds down there in the gorge right now? Let's see. A little bit of a component there, but yeah. Nothing worth driving up to the Vista House for, though, it doesn't look like. Yeah, the stuff we've been looking at as far as the extended forecast, this is way out there in the extended. So that's why you can't raise any alarms about this yet. You're not going to hear a lot of people talking about this at this point. Even though the signal's there, it's just purely, it's still just fantasy at this point. It's just something to watch for now. Was last winter cold or rainy? Well, if you remember December 2021, we had a pretty good few rounds of snowfall here across Pacific Northwest. Yeah, when you look at the windy app on the Euro, it's only going to go out 240 hours, and that's just the deterministic run there. So it's not going to show you these ensemble runs going out this far. This is at 360 hours out on the ensemble mean here. So this is just kind of showing that signal there. But I mean, the Canadian shows it, the GFS shows it. So it's worth just kind of watching, and we can learn something from it to see how this develops. But yeah, let's see if we can actually see this here too. I think you can actually see a little bit of the frontal system. This isn't the main front with the powerful segments in it yet, but you can see it starting to move towards the Washington coast as we speak now. Probably starting to rain up there on the North Vancouver Island tip there from this next system already. Some nice light rain out there across Puget Sound tonight, but not a big deal. What run goes out super? Well, if you want to go really far out, you can look at things like the CFS, for example. So if you were to click on that, I mean, you can look at all kinds of stuff. You can look at CFS extended. You can go way out on some of these runs. These are going day at a time here. But you have to look here. This one is run back on the 11th as well. And you can see how many hours this thing goes out. You can see kind of that signal there at the end of January. Continued troughing on the west coast, North America. And we get some ridging here. But yeah, I mean, I almost never look at like extended range models like the CFS here. Sometimes I'll look at like the European seasonal when it first comes out early in the month, just to kind of see what it's saying. But I don't really pay that much attention to a lot of these long range forecasts here. There's even like European weeklies here. This was actually run 2 days ago now on the afternoon of the 15th here. Was kind of showing that signal there as well towards the end in early February there. But you can see how far these go out. I mean, look at this. Goes out to March 2nd here. Kind of ridiculous in some ways. Yeah, I think it's supposed to come back on here in the next few days, I believe, but it's still down as far as I know. So Dalton asks, wondering what got you interested. I'm not sure, really. I just remember always being interested in weather. I just remember being a young child and always keeping stats and writing things on calendars and watching every single weather segment on King 5 and Como 4 and Cairo News that I could find. KSTW, Channel 11, KCPQ, Channel 13. I'd watch every single forecast. I'd write down all kinds of data all the time, at school, at home, wherever. Should we expect another hot summer? Well, I would. It's hard to say with any certainty, but we are coming out of La Nina here, which tends to give us a little boost. I just hope that when El Nino comes around the earth, I just hope that it doesn't get too crazy, because El Nino tends to warm up the planet a bit more too. And then combined with how things have been going recently, you could really get some extreme conditions across the planet. That's the thing about California too. Jeremy asked about any more blue blobs for California. You can kind of see how this troughing hangs out down across California too as well. So this could equal systems down to California eventually through the end of the month into early February. But right now we just don't have any. There's no way to tell what kind of systems are going to develop if we do bring the ridging and whatnot. We still have to worry about the trajectory of the North Flow. Will it dig out over the Gulf of Alaska more? Will it be more of an overwater dry intrusion? Will it come perfectly for the Pacific Northwest and then eventually move down California as well? They're all possibilities right now, but you definitely can't rule out some active weather here towards the end of January for California. KCPQ13. Yeah, I remember. I loved it. The more weather stations or the more news stations back then, the better. I was watching all of them. The 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock news, 11 o'clock. I think one of them started with 10 o'clock news, and that was pretty exciting. But yeah, there was no internet. You couldn't go look at the model runs. You had to wait for Jeff Renner to come on at the 11 o'clock news there and talk about what was coming. Yeah, you know, our forest fire seasons are really variable, and they really, you know, it wasn't that we had so many fires this year. It was just that they were pretty strategically placed for really plaguing certain areas. I remember when I went up north, and I'm already forgetting the name of the fire. They're up by Highway 2. But anyway, I'll think of it here in a moment, or somebody will list it. But you know, we had forest fire smoke that was affecting a lot of areas, even though we didn't have that many acres burned across the Pacific Northwest here. So it's hard to say with any given certainty on what is to come next year. I mean, but it's a pretty obvious trend that it seems like in the last, 8 years or so, forest fire activity, or at least the smoke affecting the Seattle Metro and Portland, Willamette Valley, seems to be on an uptick. Bolt Creek. There you go. Bolt Creek. 300 people watching. Not bad for just a pretty typical system moving in here. So you guys can see we got a strong frontal system bearing down on the area. Yeah, it is the Bolt Creek fire. Kind of drew a blank there. I'm going to close this one out here. And again, let's see if I can update this and get some new runs on this. Well, how far is the 03 out going out now? So this is the brand new 03 run here. And what is going on with some of these model runs? You can see it's starting it here at 11Z here on Wednesday morning. But anyway, you can see some of these powerful segments. It almost would be nice to be on the coastline tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning. Some people are going to get woken up. Look at this frontal system bearing down on Tillamook there in the central Oregon coast. That's going to be a nice passage there. And it should give you a full night's sleep here through the Willamette Valley and Puget Sound before you start getting woken up by some gusty winds and that frontal system moving through. You're probably going to hear the rain beating down on your house. Graybeard Gamer, thank you very much, sir. Awesome job on all the big storms recently. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, hopefully we have an active January, the end of January, to talk about here. I mean, I know not everybody loves the snow, but it sure does get people excited about the weather when we do get these fun events here. Is there a big tornado maker in the Midwest? I have not looked at that, actually. Yeah, I mean, we drove down there a couple of years ago to the Willamette Valley during some of that forest fire smoke, and some of the locals were telling us that it was not near as bad as what had been the day or two before. And it was really bad when we were down there. We could barely get out of the van without, just like getting overwhelmed by the smoke. Could you explain how mono winds are forecast for the Sierra Nevada? Mono. I'm not sure what you mean by mono. Yeah, I like going to sleep when the rain falls. So I'm going to check this out really quick here. We're going to do this. We're going to go to European. We'll go to 18Z here. And we're going to back out a minute here. I think I heard somebody chatting about that, but let's see here. A little bit of Cape coming up tomorrow. Might have to look at the GFS here. I'm just kind of checking out the weather across the USA coming up here. And look at the GFS, man. Weatherbell is just having a hard time here. Look at this hour 123 out here. So we're having some serious model issues here on Weather Bell. Check that out. How about the 18Z? 18Z looks all right. I don't see anything right now across the US. I heard somebody chatting about something, though. I don't know if somebody was looking off into Fantasyland or what, though. I mean, there could be some severe weather with that kind of upper level low moving through there with that cape as we go on in through tomorrow, somewhere in the southeast there. Trough digs out there, so you could get some severe weather with that as well, but depends on how much moisture return you get there. Yeah, not much. There's a little bit, but nothing too incredible, though. Not what I'm seeing offhand right now. Anyway, okay, back to where we were. Let me catch up on the chat here a little bit. San Fran will get a little bout of rain and wind, but not bad. I mean, you're going to be gusting around 30 miles per hour, and you're going to get some moderate rain, but it's not going to be anything like the storms you have been getting down there through California. There might be some severe weather tomorrow. In fact, we can just go ahead and do this also. Let's look at this. Well, I have to bounce out all the way there. Let's go national. It's actually day. So yeah, there's a day 2 there. Let's go to day 2. And that's what we were seeing there. So there's a slight risk there across some of the southeast there. Day 2 tornado, 5%. Not much in the way of hail, probably more of a windbag thing coming on there. But there's a tornado potential there. Maybe a little bit more off on day 3, but not much. Day 2 looks like it's coming up here. So on through the day tomorrow. But yeah, that was kind of showing up on the runs there. Nothing too crazy. You're not looking at a big outbreak or anything, doesn't look like. Well, the thing is, my screen is doing much better here because I actually was not using my GPU to, the graphics card was not working. It was using just the basic motherboard, I guess, on the computer here. And it was, it would really get caught up when I would go to the satellite imagery to other things. It would just really get backed up and it would drop the resolution of the entire screen. And now the GPU is so good in this computer that it can really handle this quite easily. So I was wondering what was wrong, but I had to go into the settings and change the output on OBS. Colorado River flow is looking really good. Yeah, that's basically California's water. Also, I need to learn more about that too. I know the Colorado River supplies much of California's water. My son lives near the tornado area. Yeah, well, I mean, heads up out there. If you live in the southeast, I'm sure you know the drill here coming up. Lake Oroville, over 100% of normal for this time of year. Yeah, we've been doing pretty good across the west. It's been very nice. Let's see if this is updated again here on the new HER. Try to get some of that timing across the Central Sound. Looks like those segments are going to be moving through probably just about 6, 7, 8 a.m. Man, look at Eugene's going to get on that action as well. Nice frontal system moving in tonight, you guys. That's going to be really, those are fun because they don't hang out enough to really flood people. So it's kind of a nice feature when they move through. It just kind of gives you a shot of heavy rain and wind, and then it's kind of out of your hair. But you can see down the Oregon coast. I mean, look at some of the area central coastline there, mid-50s with this frontal passage. You can clearly see the frontal passage here. But yeah, Weather Bell is just going nuts here with their model run. This is a 03Z run, And it's already out to 11, starts at 11Z, so obviously something wrong there. Have these series of storms provided any drought relief to the Lake Mead watershed? Actually, let's take a look at that. We'll go to... and we can go to compare 2 weeks. You see most of the improvement occurred in California. Not much for Nevada, not much for Arizona either. I mean, you took away the abnormally dry in portions of Arizona there. You took away the exceptional drought out of portions of Utah. If you notice that little dot here. Well, let me zoom in here. Let's see. Nope, it's messing up. Okay. But you can see that dot here. That's gone now out of Utah. That's good. Check out Kansas, though, man. That's a pretty widespread area of Kansas, Oklahoma Panhandle there. That's not going to be good for chasing with some exceptional drought there. That's pretty rugged. You can see Washington is drought-free right now. Oregon still has some exceptional there as well. But yeah, the big improvement happened there across California. We took away that extreme drought there across a lot of the state. Colorado River feeds Lake Mead. A lot is suspended in snow right now. Yeah, they're getting pretty good snowpack out there as well. That's good. We need one of these El Nino years to really just dump a lot of water there across, the Four Corners, Colorado, Utah, higher terrain of Arizona, and just really help out Lake Mead there. It might happen here maybe in the next couple of years. Eastern Oregon is in a severe drought. Yep, you can see all that red there. That extends down into Nevada as well. A lot of moderate, severe, extreme, and exceptional drought there in Oregon. Well, yeah, I mean, the roads might be less muddy, but the problem is that it can really hinder moisture sometimes too. I mean, if you got some extreme drought here, you try to get, moisture advecting up over that dry ground there, and it can hamper it a little bit here. I don't know how much exactly, but it's generally not a great thing for chasing when there is extreme drought going on. So Henrik says that Lake Mead is up 2 feet from its low, but down 21.5 feet in the last 12 months. Man, that's crazy. And I'm sure a lot of that is just the amount of people drawing from that water. See, make sure this is updating here. I'm just waiting to see some of this more frontal activity start to roll in here. So it's coming up on 9 p.m. here. So eventually just after midnight, it's going to be starting to show up here on radar, or just somewhere around midnight here. You'll probably start to see some stronger returns showing up off the coastline here, moving towards the coastline. Yeah, they got some winter weather advisories down there for Southwest Oregon as well. Medford, Oregon as well. Probably for the higher terrain here, though. Mainly above 3,000 feet, as you can see. Winds 35 miles per hour, 5 to 10 inches. I don't know if they'll mention the Siskiyou Summit here if we click on that. Western Siskiyou County includes portions of I-5. So heads up if you're traveling down there. I remember when I was a young lad back in my teens here, when we drove down, everything was fine. We drove from Seattle all the way to California, and when we got to the Siskiyous, it was just a madhouse, and we did not expect to see that on I-5. I guess that was, probably early 90s there. And it was pretty interesting seeing I-5 go up over such high terrain there. $300 pots. Are those crab pots? I see the Woke Goat post something about dumping 300 pots out of Astoria. Crook County, Oregon already declared a drought emergency. Yeah, it's pretty rough stuff going on the east slopes of the Cascades in Oregon there. Yeah, the problem is, though, you can get blowing dust and all kinds of nasty stuff going on out there, and it's not worth it. You'd rather have severe storms and precipitation versus widespread drought. El Nino is potentially coming. Actually, I don't know that I've looked at this one coming up here. Let's take a look at this. And let's do it through Google. I like the search that comes up better here. Oh, I see what I want there. We're right here. Sorry about that, guys. So this one was put out. Okay, so they issued this today. That's very good. Okay, yeah. But yeah, you don't need me to tell you that you can clearly see we're here in January. Look at this climb we're doing here. And models are becoming in greater agreement here of El Nino taking shape here. I mean, look, by the time even we get towards April, March, April, May, look at this. You can see the warm water coming. Increases May, increases even more June, July, August, September. So it looks like El Nino might be coming on the way here for the next year, or next season coming up here. So March through May, the chance for ENSO neutral is 82%. And sometimes I like to call ENSO neutral La Nada. But yeah, it looks like we're definitely headed for neutral conditions here. Very strong chance for that. And you can see by the time we get to September, we're looking at 50+% chance for El Nino. And then I'm going to have to do a whole bunch of new videos talking about El Nino and the possible impacts here across Pacific Northwest and California. I'll have to start doing some studying on California as well, because I know that it usually gets wetter than normal when El Nino comes around, but I do not know details as well as I do for the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, hopefully it'll bring another rainy winter for California next year. We could use a few good years in a row to really get rid of this drought, replenish the reservoirs, Lake Mead, fill it up. Okay, going to catch up on the chat here for a minute. Let's see. I saw that they put out something about the Seattle radar upgrades. I forgot what it was, though. Mono winds are quite common in the western slopes of the Sierras. They're active from about October to April. The danger is that they can reach velocity around 50 miles per hour. So you're talking about downsloping winds there? Okay, so National Weather Service Hanford. Okay, let's do this here. You guys talking about, see what kind of discussions they put out here. So you guys say mono winds. I have never heard of that, actually. Mono wind event devastates. It might be a name for like what, a downsloping wind here. If I had to guess, let's see. Yeah, so the word mono comes from the Native American tribe who once resided in the area. That's usually what happens, like the Tehuantepec winds down in Mexico, and you talk about, Chinook winds, or you talk about Stampede Gap winds or Gorge winds. So yeah, you usually get those names from certain areas like that. Localized effects, locally enhanced by terrain effects. But yeah, that's a good lesson there. Larry Levitan, welcome to Basic Channel Support. Who mentioned what's going on here? Something about Jim Cantori. Your channel exploded during the California atmospheric river. Pretty cool to see a small channel have such explosive growth. Yeah, it's kind of encouraging to see, you know, to have this happen like this. I mean, it's pretty nice. I enjoy it. I hope the people enjoy it too. You know, I try to be conservative. I try to remain in line with what the National Weather Service is saying, what the weather models are saying. You know, I used to work for the National Weather Service off and on. I work for Alaska Airlines. I have to be responsible in my forecasting for them. And I kind of just have groomed myself to be a responsible forecaster and not hype things too much. I like to make things fun, but I don't want to just irresponsibly hype things up that aren't going to happen at the same time. So hopefully that translates into my channel here. How's the extended looking for Southwest BC, Vancouver Island? Well, we've been watching the potential for some colder than normal temperatures at the end of the month here. That's kind of what everybody's been waiting on here. So we've got one system to go here with the frontal system going through tomorrow morning across the region here. Then another system's going to ride over the top of the ridge. Then we're going to get some ridging out here, and we're going to be kind of below average across a lot of the West Coast. Then we're going to see if that ridge is going to back up here across Pacific and allow for some colder air in the 2-week time frame or so. So that's kind of what we're looking at as we go out here towards the end of January into early February. But we've got this frontal system coming. You guys can see the winds this thing is going to kick up across the area here. Get that up towards San Juan County. I mean, look at some of those gusts into the mid-50s there. Oregon coast, mid-50s. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, it looks like they're pointing at some wind gusts into the mid-40s here for the southern Puget Sound down to the I-5 corridor there. Willamette Valley might get some gusts towards 40 miles per hour as well. Sometimes these fronts can come in quite vigorously. And if we look at this, back that up a little bit here with these just wacky HRRR runs. I don't know what is going on with some of these, but if you guys have not heard, the weather bell's having some issues here with the weather models. And I think it might be more than that too. I see some discrepancies in the UW site as well. But you can see the power of this frontal system moving onto the coastline here. Outside chance of a lightning strike as well. This will eventually pass the Puget Sound, Willamette Valley, all the way down into California. Oregon from Spokane. I mean, in the higher terrain, I would watch out for snow showers as you go on in through Thursday morning, but otherwise it shouldn't be too bad. As this frontal system's moving in, though, you can see this thing's going to move all the way into and affect some of the higher terrain here as you go on in through Wednesday night into Thursday morning. But beside of that, it shouldn't be too bad. I don't know about the radars being built by the Canadian government on the BC South Coast. I'll have to have some of my Canadian friends chime in here. Maybe Ryan. I'm not sure about that. That's a good question. I don't think it might not get that windy here. Yeah, let's take a look at that as well. Let's back up to the zero. I saw some convergence zone stuff. You can see it there. See that through what that looked pretty progressive here too. Look how fast this convergence zone here, kind of across Whidbey and just rips down through Snohomish and King County all the way through SeaTac there and off into the Cascades. And that would locally enhance some snowfall across the Central Cascades as well with that convergence zone. And if we look at wind speed, 80 knots here. Pretty quick hitting convergence zone there. You can see the westerlies coming down the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Chehalis Gap meeting up across the Puget Sound there. But yeah, that would do the convergence zone. Let's see what the NAM is running here. Man, look, I mean, the NAM is just all messed up. It goes from 8Z to 16Z there. But you can see the front here. Look at some of these segments and some powerful winds in that frontal system there. I wish the model was not messed up. You see it goes one step and it jumps 8 hours there. It's too bad. I guess we could go back to the 18Z here. But yeah, look at some of these frontal embedded segments here. That's pretty impressive. And then the westerly start down the straight there. That would bring some convergence zone activity Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday night. Let's actually look at that a little bit closer here. You can see that convergence zone signature there. Yeah, the NAM shows a pretty vigorous front impacting the coast there as well. Then the convergence zone activity. And the NAM always underdoes the coverage of the precipitation in its model too. This would end up being probably more widespread across the Cascades and across the Central Sound also. I would just go get some basic meteorological 101 books, some meteorology 101 stuff, atmospheric sciences 101, and just read those books. There's a lot of good textbooks that you can get on Amazon. They're kind of pricey, but I mean, literally, if you buy one of those, it can keep you busy for months. There's some really, there's great pictures, the diagrams and the images are really great in those books. And it's really nice to just kind of have a book versus learning stuff online all the time, because you can kind of just, you know, go chill out somewhere and read instead of sitting at your computer the entire time. Yeah, Anthony, I'm doing that right now. Actually, I put a poll out on the YouTube channel here about doing an instructional video, just kind of going over terms that I use, going over different weather models, and just different things that different terms that I use when I talk about things. Like some things that people take for granted, like just even things like barometric pressure and precipitation values and snowfall amounts and snow water equivalent and things like that, and Kuchera ratio and surface wind speed. You know, I take it for granted sometimes, but surface wind speed is usually measured at 33 feet above the ground, and that's 10 meters. And I was getting questions about that. Rain, snow for Pullman, Spokane, Pullman. I'm not sure. Let me check that really quick here. I don't think it looked like it. There was some falling down here, so you might see a little bit down towards Pullman off to the border there, maybe in the higher terrain, but not too much. I mean, there's lots of good stuff on there. Like if you just go onto Amazon, I mean, you could probably just do this. There's just tons of stuff in here that it's really good to, I mean, obviously some people, I actually have this book here. I think I have Dynamic Meteorology. I've got that book as well. I have these books, and sometimes I'll sit down and read and just kind of go over things again. But there's a lot of good stuff in here based on what kind of educational background you have if you want to start over. And even like simple books are worth reading. Sometimes I'll reread simple books. Just the basics of weather sometimes are pretty simple, even though it can be one of the most intense things you can study. Atmospheric sciences is really one of the most complex things you can study ever. You know, it's just, it depends on how far you want to go with it, really. But yeah, there's tons of good books on here. I mean, any of these are probably really good. Read some of the ratings as well too. A lot of people put some good roundups of the book. You know, they'll tell you what exactly you're learning about in here, but there's some really good stuff. I know Meteorology Today is a really good book also, but you can see some of these are kind of pricey too. That's $130 there, but you can get some of these books for used also. Yeah, I think my strength lies with, I understand things at a pretty advanced level, but I don't like to talk about them just in the advanced level. I like to break it down into layman's terms so I can explain what I'm talking about, if that makes sense. I mean, as Brad Ward and I do the same job, and we have to be able to explain extremely dynamic concepts to pilots who may not be, you know, they're not into meteorology and they don't forecast for individual stations like we do. And so you have to be able to break things down in a very easy to understand way in a very short time frame. So I think working at Alaska Airlines kind of helps me do that too. And plus I just have a pretty extensive meteorology background also. So I think that I break it down fairly well, and I try to make it interesting too. I have fun with it, so I try to pass that fun on to other people too. And I try to do it with my kids as well. So I try to bring that into the channel here when I talk about all these things. Like I'm going to have fun with this frontal system when it comes through tomorrow morning. I'm going to watch the wind speed come in. I'll see how fast the precipitation falls. Maybe we'll get a lightning strike around the Puget Sound here tomorrow if we're really lucky. Who knows? Yeah, the library is bound to have some of those books as well, for real. Yeah, Garrett's a meteorologist too. I'm sure he's been through his share of meteorology textbooks as well. A free meteorology textbook. That's something to look into right there. Thank you very much, Violet. Yeah, I mean, there's some seriously advanced mathematics you can go into. I used to take some of those classes and I've just forgotten so much that I'm afraid to even go back into some of that higher level math at this point. It's just, it's kind of scary when I think about it. That's a good question. Also, any good audiobooks or podcasts on the set? That would be something right there. Kind of breaking down meteorology to the layperson, like a Meteorology 101 podcast or an audiobook would be really, you could probably do pretty well selling something like that, it would seem like. Yeah, anybody in the weather community will tell you that, I forget things about weather all the time. Without bragging, I know a lot about the weather, but I have to refresh myself all the time because there's stuff you forget. There's things that you need to like actively do forecasting to stay sharp on. West Coast weather, reading my first meteorology textbook now in school. Pretty interesting to read. Yeah, they are. That'd be the way to go right there. Yeah, PDF on the website and print that sucker out. That'd be nice. ASMR. I'm not sure what that acronym means. No, Cliff Mass is one of the premier, he might be the best mind ever for Pacific Northwest, especially Western Washington weather. I mean, he is really top of the line as far as knowing the weather locally here around, especially around the Seattle area. Oh, sleepy. Yeah. Yeah. I talk a little bit faster than him. I try to get out a lot of information, but he has a nice voice. He's easy to listen to, admittedly. Audio to make you sleepy. Autonomous sensory meridian response. Yeah, maybe it'd be something good. You could like absorb it. So, you could just kind of absorb it as you fell asleep. Kind of as you're going unconscious, that maybe it'll stick in your mind more. Yeah, that's true about any expertise. That is definitely true. You have to really stay active. All right, what time is it? 9 o'clock. I can still hear the kids running around upstairs. So I probably have to get off here and I will get some sleep and I'll do the briefing tomorrow. And if I wake up early enough, I'll try to get it out before it hits the Puget Sound. If not, I'll wait till the front passes and then I'll probably do it. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll do it as the front's passing and make it exciting. Watching a live stream while driving in the snow. It can. Yeah, we're done with the windstorms and flooding for now. But I mean, the frontal system tomorrow is strong, so it could cause a little bit of localized flooding or some urban small stream flooding, maybe some side streets, whatnot. But it's only going to last for a couple hours. And there will be some gusty winds with the front, but it should be done pretty quick. It's not going to be any kind of prolonged wind event tomorrow. But then again, I guess 2 hours of fairly strong wind is kind of a big deal. But yeah, it's not a major windstorm though. Do I do any reporting on solar weather? I do not. I do not know that much about solar or space weather. Yeah, if it actually comes through in the morning, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll live stream and set the camera outside again at the view of my house. That would be nice. Yeah, Cliff Mass has a lot of good information, but he's still pretty young. Yeah, I'm trying to pass on my love for the weather to everybody here in the Pacific Northwest, along the West Coast. Hopefully everybody can get involved in it and we can get a nice community going on here and keep this thing going. But I'm going to wrap up the live stream here and I will get some sleep and I will do my briefing tomorrow morning and we'll see how this frontal system comes in. And then hopefully the models keep trending for colder here towards the end of the month here. But the next chance for Seattle snow is probably the end of January into early February. But that's still, it's a long shot. It's way out there. It's just kind of reading tea leaves at this point. So anyway, I'm going to end the live stream now. Thanks for everybody for stopping by. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Yeah, one more thing. Yeah, I saw that. I will show my home weather station here shortly also. I'm actually going to do a video about home weather stations, a more detailed one, and I'll put that out. And I will compare a few weather stations together. I have a few weather stations I've been doing some experiments with, so I have a little bit better understanding. So I'll put that out also, and I'll show you guys how I have mine set up also. So anyway, I will